What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the best champions to use for weeks 3 and 4 for this current season of Battlegrounds, where the nodes change and we have Polka power. So that means you gain no power from attacking or receiving hits. You only gain power whenever the opponent is suffering from a damaging effect. So that counts for passives and debuffs as well. Then we got Ebb and Flow Intercept. So this is a bit of a weird one because Ebb and Flow Intercept, whenever you intercept the opponent, you get that Fury passive. But then when the shield comes back, when the Fury expires, the protection returns, and then all debuffs on the opponent are purified. So that could be really annoying with Polka power, you know, if you just stack a lot of those debuffs and they just go away. And then luckily they included the attacker starts with 1 bar of power, which kind of enables some champions to be used because they just apply debuffs with their special 1 or something. Now the good thing about this is that with the Saga boost, if you are a Saga attacker, you have a 10% chance with your attacks to place a Dormant Virus, which is basically a damaging debuff. It's a passive, actually. It's a damaging passive, which is like a degen. So that is going to enable some attackers to actually generate power in this meta as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about the defenders first. There are not many defenders that really stand out to me, but there are, 5 or 6 that will be harder to intercept. Anyone really is going to be really tough in this meta because you just need to intercept the opponent to deal damage. But the ones that stand out, starting with this guy, High Evolutionary. I feel like if he has the auto block, it's just really tough to intercept him because he's just gonna, block. And then he also could have the combat detonation on you. And then if you're just rushing, you just don't really care about the intercepts. You just want to like do those 16 hits so you don't take that damage. So that could definitely be a big staller or actually can really hurt you. Now we got Spider-Punk. This guy will evade you unless he is inflicted with a slow, or if you have like a true strike effect to just prevent him from evading, because he just evades every single one of those intercepts you do. So if you have a 7-star Spider-Punk, yeah, he's gonna be a little more annoying to fight. Moving on to the skill class, one that's actually very, very interesting is Killmonger, because Killmonger, basically his awaken ability with the reverb, it does more damage to you based on when it activates. So if you have, let's say, 1 bar of power, you're going to start taking more damage. If you have 0 power when you actually hit him and he triggers a reverb, which is basically the start of the fight, you take no damage. But in this meta, everyone is going to start with 1 bar of power. So that means you're going to take some reverb damage for sure, unless you just wait it out. So this guy is going to be a little bit tricky. Now there's also Zemo. Some champions inflict passives and they can't get around his cleanse, but most of them apply debuffs, and if you want to apply debuffs against Zemo, that's not good. But in this meta, you want to apply debuffs because that's how you get power, so I feel like that guy can also be, a little bit tricky. Moving on to the mutants, I'm just going to include Onslaught because Onslaught is just, his AI is so difficult to actually intercept, so I feel like he's going to mess pretty much everyone at least once or twice. Now, I think also Sinister could be a bit of a problem because the same reason of what's it called, Zemo. Because if you apply too many debuffs on him, there's the risk of him throwing a special 1, and then he's just throwing those degens back at you. And there's also his SP2 Concussion, which is not going to let you apply those debuffs. So I can see him being very, very tricky. And then the last defender that I think would be probably one of the best is Destroyer. You can't intercept this guy, you can't even put a slow on him, so that is pretty unfortunate. And something that I actually have tested in the preseason is that you can't use your relic anymore to intercept. I clearly did an intercept and it just didn't work. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the best attackers to use, and that's going to be like basically on their own with their own abilities, and then we're going to jump into the game to see who is a Saga attacker and who is going to benefit from that degen. So we're starting off from the science class. This guy will be one of the best passives with his pre-fight. He will get power. He even starts with a bar of power, so you can just close out the fight with that special 2. Probably one of the best attackers in the card meta that we're going to have. Now, Joe Fixit is kind of good here because he starts with a special 1, so that means you will be able to, throw those bleeds back at the opponent, and you will be able to just cycle those special 1s. Now, he could be a bit annoying to use sometimes because, again, the Ebb and Flow Intercept is going to remove his debuffs away from him, so you just have to time things really well if you want him to work. I'm definitely going to try to use Joe Fixit for sure. And then Spot will be amazing because he just needs to place those debuffs. We don't care that they're going to get purified. And him starting with a bar of power as well will just make the special 2 so much faster to happen, so much faster in that fight. So I feel like he will be a very, very fast attacker. Probably going to see a lot of bans from my spot. Now we got the skill class. We got Black Cat. I feel like Black Cat, you know, if they're not bleeding, you just place a lot of those bleeds. Sabotage might even fail the ebb and flow shield, most likely. Then we have Elsa. Very easy access to debuffs, so she can probably nuke the opponent, especially with starting with a special 1. You can get that nice precision. As you can see, she gains a precision, increasing attack by or crit chance by a lot. And she also has massive critical chance on her own, 36% chance. Crazy. Now, another very popular attacker this meta will be Kate Bishop because of that passive Cold Snap. You just start the fight with it, you just intercept the opponent, and then with that Fury, it's actually going to increase your damage with the Cold Snap. So she will be very, very nice. Molman is here for 2 reasons. He can apply those bleeds and generate power, but he also can use his counter punch by blocking and getting a very free intercept, basically. Now we got this guy, Fury, obviously. Long duration bleeds with the mediums, and then with those light bleeds will hit really hard with that Fury from the ebb and flow intercept, so definitely a very good option. Now I wasn't sure about this guy, Archangel. He can apply those debuffs, but I'm not sure if he can fail the ebb and flow intercept. Probably can't, so that might actually be a pretty decent attacker. And then also Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is a 6-star, I know that, but she starts with a special 1. She can get power because you can place those passive incinerates. And if you have a high sig, there is a very high chance of you re-triggering at least one of those. And that means you're going to get power throughout the whole fight. And Kitty Pryde is all about intercepting, so she's probably going to be good in this meta. I'm not sure if I'm going to run her, maybe for like my first stream to like test her, because I didn't actually get the chance to test her in the preseason. But I feel like, at least for like the players that don't have a lot of 7-stars, Kitty Pryde is a very, very solid option. Now, another very popular attacker will be Jean Grey. Neutral Shocks, you can place passives, you can place debuff Neutral Shocks. She's going to work either way. And then we also have Onslaught with those passive Neutral Shocks, amazing. And then lastly, for the mutant class, we got Mr. Sunspot right here. Even if his incinerates get purified, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to get probably 2 special 1s. And then with that ebb and flow intercept, he's going to hit super hard from that Fury. Now, moving on to the tech class, there's not many here that really stand out to me. One of them is Sentinel. He has that shock. You probably need to throw like a couple of those heavy attacks if you want to get to that special 2, maybe like 3 of them. So it should be still pretty fast with that Fury and the SP2. Stark Spidey is amazing. He doesn't really need to generate power. He's just gonna dex 10 times and kill the opponent. Now, Warlock might be pretty decent without ebb and flow intercept as well. If you time things with your special 2, I can see him being a nuke for those, you know, Mr. Sinisters or maybe Jean Grey. Now, moving on to the Cosmic class. I feel like Cosmic class is going to be really, really strong. We have Gore here. Now, Gore kind of suffers the same fate as some of those attackers that if their debuffs get purified, he loses his ramp. But the good thing about Gore is that you can instantly, almost instantly, apply a lot of those debuffs and they just L3 the opponent and they die. So I feel like he will get power no matter what, even if the opponent is immune. You just place that degen. So again, if you time things correctly, you should be fine with Gore. Now, moving on to probably the best Cosmic in this meta, maybe outside of Call Obsidian, Hyperion. This guy will get so much power with his own power gain, with his incinerates, and now with the SP3 skip, he's going to be a menace, dude. Like, I cannot wait to actually use Hyperion. I rank 3'd him for this reason. Now we got Carolina, very, very nice champion. You can just, with that first special 2, you place those passive incinerates, and then with the sun, you're gonna get so much power. So yeah, she's gonna be super, super fun. Then Medusa starts with the special 1, so you can just immediately open the fight with her armor shatter, place those bleeds to get power, and even if the opponent is bleed immune, I feel like you're just gonna have so much damage because of the armor shatter, literally like opening the fight with it. She's gonna be amazing. I think Deathless Thanos still gonna be pretty solid, even with 4 Furies and 1 armor shatter. I can see him being pretty good. And then Venom most likely will be nice. I can see him work, but I haven't tested him. But on paper, he seems okay. Now, for the new Mystic class, we got Diablo. Same thing about Gore here. You want to time your special 3 and try to like end the fight before the ebb and flow expires, because that's where you're going to lose all your poisons. Again, I don't know if he's going to work great, but I can see him work in some cosmic fights, like maybe Dark Phoenix. Dracula will be amazing if you have one, because he's constantly going to have this degen that lasts for 666 seconds. He's always going to get power, basically, so he should be a really good attacker if you have him. And then moving on to Juggernaut here. I would only use Juggernaut if you fight some champions with buffs, because the only way for you to get to the special 2 is through Mystic Dispersion. So he's great because he's intercepts with a counter punch, but if you don't get to the special 2, he's probably going to be really slow. So you just probably want to use him against, Deathless Thanos, maybe some champions that just have buffs on their own. And then we have Kushala. She gets power when she places buffs with the opponent. Very, very nice. And then we also have Shatra. I'm not sure if she's going to work really well. She probably will with that power still. And then lastly, Tigra will probably be one of the best mystics in the whole meta. All right, so now the Saga attackers. Those champions have a chance to place that passive degen through the Saga boost node. So you will be able to get power. So starting off with Northstar, I feel like Northstar, he could potentially be pretty good for one reason. This guy has 1,000,000 hits on his combo, so there's a very high chance you apply that degen very early on, start generating power quickly, and then with the SP3 skip and then one special 2, you probably kill the opponent, even maybe without the special 3, because that Ebb and Flow Fury gives you some nice attack to actually boost that special 2, so he should be pretty decent actually. Now Fam, if you have a 7-star Fam, even a 6-star honestly, he's going to be really, really good. It's going to be a little tricky to time the Ebb and Flow intercept because it might actually shrug off your disintegrations, which you don't want that to happen. You lose damage, but he should be pretty decent. Now, Captain Britain, maybe as a 7-star, because with the SP3 skip, starting with the SP1, you might be able to get to special 3, and then like one other special 2 might be able to kill the opponent, but I'm not sure if she's going to work that well. Doom don't think he's going to do very good. Maybe he's going to do okay if you just don't bait a single special. I do have a 7-star rank 3, I believe, so he could be actually decent. Iron Man is okay if you have a high 7-star rank, I guess. Moleman works on his own, but he also has that degen. Same thing with Joe Fixit. Then Zemo could be a really interesting attacker. I think he's going to be a little slow though still. But then move on to Viv. Should be really, really nice. Honestly, she also has like a bit of a power steal, I believe, so might be pretty decent. Blackheart works on her own. Apocalypse going to be really slow. Howard the Duck, probably don't want to use him, I guess. Punisher turn 9, probably don't want to use him either. Stealth Spidey will be amazing. I don't think anyone can have the 7-star by then, but maybe even the 6-star, because I think the 6-star kind of like pauses the passive fury from the node, so there could be some cool interactions here. I don't think anyone here is going to work really, really well. Maybe Zola if you get lucky. Shang-Chi could definitely work for sure if you get lucky with that first degen proc. Bastion could also work really, really nice. Spider-Woman, very nice if you have like a high sig one. Anti-Venom, don't think it's going to work great because his debuffs will get shrugged off and you won't be able to get those Furies, unfortunately. And then we have Jean Grey, she works on her anyway. Lumatrix could potentially work because he also starts with the special 1, so you just gotta get lucky with that first degen so you start building up the power quickly. Silver Samurai could work for sure, got a lot of damage to those specials. Spider-Man, I think you might be able to get him before the season ends, I'm not sure. Could be really, honestly, very strong. And then Solvark could also be a really, really solid attacker to use. But yeah, man, that is going to do it for today's video. I feel like it's going to be a very interesting meta. From what I played like one time on the stream, it was really difficult. Like most people were dying, including me, because of the ebb and flow intercept. I don't know if the AI just sometimes just doesn't let you intercept because it's an ebb and flow intercept meta. It just feels like that, but I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, hopefully this video helped you guys. And if it did, leave it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.